The Rescue Worker.
Stories of daring rescues capture our attention. The selfless rescuers inspire us with their determination to save others. Their actions challenge us to ask, would I have done the same? Jesus is the ultimate daring, determined, and selfless rescuer. He put it all on the line for us. He held nothing back, but gave everything to save us, the ones he loves. And he asks us, would you do the same for the others I love? Jesus invites us to join his rescue efforts, to bring people back from the brink to the safety of his love and kingdom. But how do we do that? What does it take to be a rescue worker for God's kingdom? That is what Rescue Workers is all about.
The terrorist attacks of 9/11 illustrate the worst in humanity. But on that day, we also saw what is the best in people. Rick Rescorla was a security guard at the Twin Towers. He had a background in the military and intelligence. Because of this, he suspected that the towers would be a target for terrorism. He drilled more than 2,000 employees in the second tower of evacuation procedures. Some of them grumbled, but they had to cooperate. When the first plane struck the first tower, Rick sprang into action. He instructed employees in the building to evacuate. All the drills proved to help. Then, a plane crashed into his tower. When it seemed that all the people were out, Rick ran upstairs to check each floor for anyone left behind. He didn't make it out before the building collapsed. But because of him, 2,700 people survived that day.
What Rick did is incredible. He disregarded the natural human instinct to self-preserve. He put his life on the line to rescue others. It reminds me of God. The worst terrorist attack on humanity is sin. We're not made for sin or death, yet we are trapped in the collapsing building of our reality. But God entered this falling building to rescue us. He knew it would cost his life. Through his sacrifice, everyone who chooses him will not be crushed by sin.
That's right. He rescues us from the influence and consequences of sin. Imagine sin no longer having a grip on you. That's what Jesus rescues us from.
He's transforming us from the inside out. But this transformation is not for our benefit only. He invites us to be his rescue workers, to be used by him to help others in their transformation process. So, how can we be rescue workers with God? Well, we can look at the acronym RESCUE. Following this acronym, we will learn how God can use us in this life-saving work. We start with R, which is for roots. Jesus came to rescue the relationship between God and us. He made a way for that relationship to be restored. To benefit from that, I need to root myself in Jesus. I need to align myself with God and pursue a real relationship with him.
Jesus taught this important truth in his parable of the sower. It is recorded in Matthew 13. He mentions that some seeds fell in places where they couldn't put down deep roots. Those seeds failed. But some seeds fell on fertile soil and produced an immense crop. To me, fertile soil and a good crop imply that those seeds put down deep roots.
Only the seeds with deep roots could grow into what they were meant to be.
And just like plants, we grow from our roots. This brings us to E for edification. Jesus came to rescue and restore God's image in us. To receive that kind of rescue, I need to align my innermost self with God, his truth, and his kingdom values.
Jesus defined our innermost self during his ministry. He said, You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment.
So, our edification is the process of aligning our heart, soul, and mind with God.
Precisely. And doing that empowers us to fulfill the second greatest commandment according to Jesus. A second commandment is equally important: love your neighbors as yourself. Which brings me to S for service. Jesus came to rest God's purpose for me. He empowers me to serve. I need to align my hands with God's hands.
And while we each have a unique, God given service, we don't have to feel or live like we're alone. C is for community. Jesus came to rescue God's intention for unity and fellowship among humans.
One of Jesus' personal prayers is recorded in the Bible. In that prayer, we see he longed for something for all his disciples. He said, I pray that they will all be one, just as you and I are one. As you are in me, Father, and I am in you. And may they be in us, that the world will believe you sent me.
It seems that unity is for our benefit and for the benefit of others, so that the world will believe that God sent Jesus.
Yes, community is so important. So I need to align myself with God's other rescue workers and the community around me.
We're nearing the end of the acronym. U is for upbringing. Jesus came to rescue our healthy development. I need to align my development with his shaping and transformation.
And finally, E is for evangelism. Jesus calls me to participate in his rescue work. Paul wrote, For God was in Christ, reconciling the world to himself, no longer counting people's sin against them. And he gave us this wonderful message of reconciliation. So we are Christ's ambassadors. God is making his appeal through us. We speak for Christ when we plead, come back to God. I can be most effective as a rescue worker when I align my heart with God's heart.
I know that is a lot of information. Maybe it has raised more questions than answers. But don't worry. In our coming episodes, we'll work through each point.
It is truly amazing that the God of the universe would enlist our help in rescuing others. I'm excited to learn together how we can be effective rescue workers.
We will begin next week with roots.